Hey chicks, welcome to Ginger Snaps Reality. So I will be covering reality shows solo, because if I had Marie on with me, she would be like, and who are these people? It's just not her vibe. Hey, reality's not for everyone, right? So I'm going to start with the Vallley. There's 3 episodes I'm going to go over. This is season 3. And the first episode, Nia and Danny have a new house. Kristen and Luke are struggling with sex after having the baby. Zach and Benji moved in. Jasmine is planning her wedding. Brittany is single, but she's dating Brandon, who she's known from Kentucky. Michelle is single, but still waiting for Jesse to sign the papers for the divorce. And then Janet and Jason seem to be the outcasts. Like, not invited to everything. And then Lala is single. She is new to joining. Before she was like a guest. And then Tom Schwartz joined the show too. He was a guest too in the past. So they do a sip and see. And what that is, it is for to meet the babies. Kristen's baby and Nia's baby. And Janet is not invited. And Lala, let's see. It is raining here. And it's coming down good. Don't know if you can hear it. Okay, so Janet. Okay. There's a next scene, there's a meetup. Janet, Lala, Brittany, and Michelle meet up. And Janet complains having to leave Brittany's party because of Kristen, making a comment, what is she doing here? And Janet was saying, I not felt bullied since, like, grammar school. Or junior high or something like that. And told Brittany she could have handled it better. Like, told Kristen, that's not appropriate, not now. And then, next, we have Schwartz and Michelle flirting, which is kind of cute. And this is the sip and see party. I kind of skipped around. Trying to read my notes here. So anyway, it's kind of funny. Lala used a sperm donor for her second child. And Luke tells her, Luke is Kristen's fiance, I donated at that sperm place because Lala's mom made a joke that Lala's 1-year-old baby, which is from a sperm donor, looks like Luke. So that's kind of funny. I don't know if they're going to do like a DNA test or what to see if Luke happened to be the sperm donor. Wouldn't that be interesting? And let's see. Jesse. Excuse me. Jesse likes to wear loafers and no socks. That seems to be his MO. And Lacey is Jesse's girlfriend, and she goes up to Michelle to talk to her, and it was a very weird, awkward conversation. I really don't think Michelle cares to get to know her, and Jesse thinks she should since Lacey's around their daughter. But hey, I get it. When you don't really want, you know, she doesn't, she can acknowledge her and be nice to her, but that doesn't mean she has to be her BFF. Excuse me. So that pretty much is the first episode, the sip and see, and then the girls meeting up, and that's where Janet, complains about having to leave the party. Seems like Janet and Jason are in the episodes, but not a lot. So now episode 2 is Lala's daughter's first birthday, and they hired a lifeguard because Lala has a pool, and Lala is hot for the lifeguard. And it's kind of funny, the things that she says. If my kid wasn't here and all these people, she said she'd take that guy up to her room. So then, Janet, at the party, apologized to Jasmine. And Janet says she's in therapy. And Janet, her apology to Jasmine, Jasmine's like, okay, but then sidebar kind of says this was not the time and place to do that, have that talk at a birthday party for a kid. And then Lala asked Janet to go to Nia, and go talk to Nia. Now, season 2, Janet kept spewing out, like, Danny has a drinking problem, he drinks too much, he assaults women and stuff. So Danny and Nia really aren't friends now with Janet and Jason. So Janet does go to Nia, and they have a conversation, and it was hi, congratulations on your baby in the house. Do you want to talk about anything else? And Nia's just like, no. And then Janet just walks off, and Nia's like, okay, that was the most weirdest, shortest, awkward conversation I've had. And then they show Janet go into a room to talk to a friend about how awkward that was. And something to the fact that she doesn't want to be friends with Nia and Danny. And then Nia needs to breastfeed, and she accidentally goes in that room, and she goes, oh, sorry, I'll go to a different room. So she thought that was awkward. And yeah, that was awkward. Also, in this episode, Brittany shows us Cruz's sensory room, because Cruz is autistic on the spectrum. And it's a really cool room. And Cruz is just adorable, and he has really been making progress. So then we go to Danny, him and Mia have 4 kids under 4, and Mia's like, yeah, it's time. We're done. So Danny is getting the snip snip, and he brings Zach with. Now, Zach is gay. And Zach is his emotional support person. And, yeah, that went well, right? So then we go to Jesse and Lacey, and they're having lunch. And it seemed very odd, because it seems Jesse is more into Lacey than Lacey is into him. And he, like, I don't know, he, like, compliments her and stuff, and she's just, I don't know, she just doesn't seem receptive, and he tells her he loves her, and she's like, uh-huh. And, I think Jessie lives in the Valley, and she lives in LA, but she won't move because she's got a big house. She's divorced. And I don't know the story behind her divorce, but it seems like she is well off, and I don't even think she was married that long, but she does have a child. And her child and Jesse's daughter, they're both girls, get along very well. So, but yeah, that will be an interesting relationship to watch this season, Jesse and Lacey, because it just seems like a very odd relationship, and that he's more into her. So, we shall see. Next, Michelle and Schwartz go to a sound bath and healing place. And it's funny, Tom jokes around and says it's their first date, and Michelle goes, "This is not a date. This is for us to each heal, for from what we went through in the past." But that actually looks really good, because they were in like a salt cave, and what a sound bath is where they have these, they almost look like metal kettles, and they hit the bowls, and it makes a sound. And I've done this before in a yoga class, and it's kind of relaxing. So that wouldn't be a bad thing to do. And Nia is struggling, with having, the 4 kids. They moved because they needed a bigger house. And, she's trying to be serious and tell Danny, hey, I'm struggling. And he's talking about scheduling sex. And she's just like, are you even, listening to me? So, yeah, Danny could be a little bit more receptive to what she's going through. Because, you go through the baby blues after you have a child. So that is it for the second episode. Now, episode 3, which just aired tonight. I just finished watching it. And it starts off with Brittany and Kristen going to see the plastic surgeon that did Brittany's breast 10 years ago. And, after having her cruise, he's about 5 years old. She's like, my body's not the same. So she's going to get a mommy makeover. And I think they both get a little Botox that day, but that's not the day Brittany's getting the mommy makeover. And then Kristen talks about not liking her body when she looks in the mirror, and not liking what she sees, and I can relate to that. Um, with me, it's the menopause. So, yeah, I can relate to what Kristen is going through. And then next, Luke and Jason meet up to talk about things, like with Danny, and how Danny and Mia were treated. And Jason said he's, willing to apologize. He's just felt awkward to reach out to Danny. So Luke was like, okay, well, why don't I get a guys outing together, and then he can go talk to Danny then. He said he would talk to Danny to see if he would be interested in meeting up. Well, then meanwhile, the girls are getting ready for Kristen's Y2K night out, and it's on a Wednesday, which is weird. And again, Janet is not there. Like I said, Janet and Jason aren't really shown much so far in these 3 episodes. And it's really cute. The girls dress up really cute. Some are in pink. Brittany and Lala have these feathery, maybe not feathery, fluffy pink hats. And then some of the girls are wearing pink, got their hair done and makeup, and they go to this bar, and there's like barely anyone there, and Kristen's like, oh, this is awesome. So during that scene at the bar, Jasmine was making comments about Lala to Michelle, saying that if Lala wasn't in this group, Jasmine doesn't think she would be friends with her. And Michelle made a comment about Jesse, which is her soon-to-be ex-husband, that he can be a showman, and that Jasmine then said, she didn't if Lala wasn't in the group, she doesn't think she would be friends with her. So Michelle went and told Lala this, and Lala's like, what the heck? We just had dinner not too long ago. So Lala's confused, and she's not happy because she's cautious, and she's got her guard up. Like, okay. And then they took a party bus to this bar, and Nia went back on the party bus because her mom came with the baby, and Nia had to breastfeed. And she was saying she hasn't taken a bottle yet, and it's kind of difficult that she's only breastfeeding. So we will see how that ventures out. And then, meanwhile, this was filmed a couple of months ago. So back in 2025. Because I want to say both of them had summer babies. So they do that. They film, and then it doesn't come out until around March every year. And I know some people are like, why can't it be more real time, not such a long gap? So we'll see if they ever change that. So only a couple of the girls stayed out late, but the ones who were newly moms called it a night early. And then Kristen and Nia were having a talk about having sex again, how they're just like, and both of their men are like, yeah. So they were bonding over feeling like that. And then they show the next day, and Kristen really loved going out and says, I gotta do this again. And of course, Luke is bringing up sex again. And he did bring Kristen breakfast in bed and stuff, but it seems like this is going to be an issue during this season of Luke getting frustrated with Kristen. And I mean, I had kids, I could totally relate to Kristen, even in the menopause. You know, having the hot flashes and that, you just don't want a hot, sticky body on you. So, yeah, stay tuned to how this pans out with Kristen and Luke. And Michelle called Kristen on the phone, and she said that they bar hopped and went to a bunch of bars, and she didn't get home till 2:30. And Kristen's like, oh, well, you look great for being out that late. So then, next, is Brittany and Brandon go to dinner. Now, Brandon, is now Brittany's boyfriend. She's known him since Kentucky, and he does live in California, 3 hours away. And she was telling him, you know, you're going to meet Zach, but he's very protective of me and kind of feels some red flags. And Brandon said, okay, I'm looking forward to meeting him. So, and that's when Brandon officially asked Brittany to be his girlfriend. So then next, Danny and Nia are having a housewarming party, and they're calling it a new frontier because they moved. They're not in the Valley, they're in Santa Clarita. And Danny's dressed up as a cowboy with a southern accent, and he's quite entertaining, and Nia cannot take him seriously. And by the way, Danny Bucco is his name. He is an actor, so that is his job. So meanwhile, the rest of the gang, they take 2 cars, and then in Lala's car, it's Lala, Brittany, Brandon, Michelle, and Schwartz. And Lala asks about Jasmine. You know, I heard that she will be like nice to your face, but say stuff about you behind your back. So they're all having a discussion about Jasmine in that car. Meanwhile, the other car that had Jasmine and Zach, Jasmine's fiance, let's see, Benji, and then who else was in that vehicle? Kristen and Luke? Yeah. And let's see, what were they discussing? They're complaining about the drive. And then they showed the traffic that they were in. And they're saying it's far. Nothing is in Santa Clarita. So Brittany, and now we're at the party. Brittany introduces Brandon to everyone, and Zach and Brandon have a talk so Zach can get to know him. And the food spread looks good. They had a long charcuterie board, and then they had barbecue. And Zach and Brandon seemed to have a good talk. Luke goes to Danny to tell him, hey, I met up with Jason. And Danny's like, okay. And then he says, well, Jason wants to apologize to you, and I want to get the guys together. Will you come? And Danny says, well, I have forgiven him, but, it's been a year. Why now? And he's like, I don't know if I could be friends with them after what's happened. And Danny says, I'm a loyal person. He goes, I need to think about it, because he cuts out anybody toxic. So Danny is thinking about going to this party. Guy's night out. And now we go back to Jasmine, and it shows that she called up Jesse and tells him that Michelle called him a showman. Michelle's his soon-to-be ex-wife. And then she is talking to Brandon and Lacey and complaining, saying that about Michelle going to Lala and telling her what she said. And then Brandon's like, oh, we were talking about you in the car ride. And Jasmine's like, oh, really? Well, thank you for having my back. And Jasmine calls Michelle so dumb. Well, then Brittany gets a wind of Brandon doing these, talking to her friends, and then telling, one friend and the other, oh, they're talking about you. And Brittany's like, okay, this is not good. My friends are not going to like him because he is doing this. Well, meanwhile, Jasmine and Lala have a conversation, and it's not going so well, but Lala said, yeah, we were having a conversation in my vehicle, and this is what I heard, that you will be nice to a person, and then behind their back, you'll say stuff about me, and I just want to know if that's the case with this. And, I really don't feel like they resolved it, because other people were piping in, and Jasmine kind of walked off with her fiance, just talking, like this is bull crap and that. So they show previews for next week's, and it looks good. It does look like the boys do have a meetup, and that Danny goes. So stay tuned. And that is the first 3 episodes of the Vallley. Now, I'm going to pause for a little bit because I'm going to do Real Housewives of Rhode Island.